Welcome to the State of the Buccaneers podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Pfefferkorn, and this is the biggest and only fan-run podcast of the East Tennessee State Buccaneers. We'll get right back to you after the tune. All right, welcome back to the State of the Buccaneers podcast. We have a very special episode for you all tonight. Of course, we just started football season, and we'll kind of get into that here in a minute. But tonight we have a very special guest on the podcast. He is a former ETSU football player. He was one of the first to commit to the program when we restarted football. He was there to the first SoCon championship, 2018 with Randy Sanders. It is my great honor to welcome Asley Haynes to the podcast tonight. So I'm going to add him to the stage right here. So without further ado, introduce yourself.
What's up, Jacob, man? Thanks for having me on. Been a big fan of the podcast for a while now, so I appreciate you having me on here. Super excited about the Bucs this season. Can't wait to see what they do. They looked pretty good last weekend against Murray State. Excited for this weekend for sure and the season to come. Like you saying, I was part of the first team in 2018 or 2014. Signed to ETSU. Come from Cleveland High School in Roan Mountain, Tennessee. As of right now, I'm the only person from my high school to go play Division I college football and graduate. So that's a big accomplishment for myself. Growing up always was my life. The childhood dream was to be a college football player, make it to the NFL. That was my childhood dream. But things are different when you go from a little 1A high school to FCS level college. So competition picked up for sure. But it was phenomenal times being there. Enjoyed my time at ETSU. Great memories, great friends.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sort of your story. Just going from one of the smallest schools in the area. I mean, there's a lot of high schools in the area don't have D1 talent unless you went to Science Hill or Dobbins Bennett usually, or Elizabethton, one of the big three, or Greenville, of course. But it's just crazy. That you were part of the first scout team, sort of before we even played a game, before there was a stadium, before it was just the coaching staff, and you invested in that program. I mean, coming from out from Roan Mountain, I'm sure it was a big honor for you and your family and that town of Roan Mountain. I know I followed recruiting. I think I saw your name. I followed you way back when I was in middle school. Like I followed like every ETSU football player because I was super excited. I watched the live stream of the vote for them to bring ETSU football back. I don't know if you followed that closely like I did, but
it was kind of funny. My high school coach, Brock Pittman, he came in my junior year of high school, and I wasn't really focusing on school after high school. I was probably going to join the military and then go the Army or police route after military. But once he got there, he's like, "What do you want to do after school?" And I told him, he's like, "Have you ever been interested in playing college football?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, but I just didn't know, what talent I would have." And he's like, "Well, ETSU is bringing a team back, and at the time, I wanted to get away from East Tennessee, so I was dead set on going to Appalachian State Mountaineers. That's who I was dead set on going to. I went to a few football camps there, did really well, got looked at by a few of the coaches, but they ended up, saying they'll get a partial scholarship and out of state. So they don't offer in-state tuition there like how ETSU does,
Yeah.
Surrounding um, states and cities. So it's still going to be, 20 grand a year, which is a lot of money for somebody like me. And so my coach was like, I was part of the last team, so it'd be kind of cool if you were part of the first team back. So that kind of meant a lot to me. And then kind of walked in on school. I started high school all 4 years, freshman through senior year, didn't miss a game. So whenever ETSU came about, and I went down there and met with Coach Billy Taylor, met with Coach Lee Morrow at the time. Got to go to the logo unveiling when they brought the new E out, the Power E, and the new Buccaneer logo. Met Carl Torbush, Coach Torbush. I was one of the few players there to meet him. I think it was me and a couple other dudes that didn't stay the full time, but it was very cool just to go meet the coaches, be one of the first few players, especially being local. I think me and Adam Mullins from Elizabethton were there for the logo unveiling. Got to meet Coach Eric Lucy at the time and Coach Shipley. So it was pretty neat getting to see it, literally from the ground up, from the logo to, to what it is now. It was very rewarding in a way. Just amazing how far we've came in the past 10 years. Make it to the playoffs, I think, almost three times.
Yeah, twice.
Two SoCon championships. So I'm excited for them, what they got coming now. So things are looking good for ETSU.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think. I kind of had this in the back of my mind. I was like, I was like, since we're playing UT this week, I mean, why not bring one of the first players, someone that's been there from the beginning. It's just crazy to see how the program's grown from those humble beginnings in 2013, 2014 to now. Just seeing the impact ETSU football has on the region, and I think it was a great experience for you. Just you were part of the first team that set that culture.
Yeah,
they built that culture up with Carl Torbush. Rest in peace. Was a great man. Just building that culture to what it is today. I mean, there's been bumps in the road, but I think we continue to see we build a culture that attracts players, attracts coaches, attracts other fans and locals just to see how it's grown.
Yeah, it's pretty coall. My senior year was 2018. That's when we played UT last time. And growing up here in East Tennessee, everybody's Vols fans, and that's not who I pull for. Of course not. But it was very cool to go down there and be on the field at Neyland, have family and friends come down there. Super cool experience. The game didn't turn out how we wanted it to. We were doing pretty well. It was 10-0 right before halftime, and then the lightning delay happened, and then the floodgates opened after we came out after halftime. It got away from us for sure. But yeah, it's super cool, getting to be from the small area around here, Johnson City, Tri-Cities, getting to go down to Knoxville, getting to be on the field, looking at 100,000+ fans out there. I mean, as a kid growing up, everybody loves UT. You watch them every Saturday on TV. It was super cool to go down there. So, I mean, I know the guys this weekend will be ready. Hopefully, better outcome than 2018. Maybe shock the nation, pull a little App State Michigan upset, and do something crazy this weekend. That'd be phenomenal to see. But I know it'll be very cool. Be very cool for the community to see. The Battle of East Tennessee. I think the team's going to come in with a little brother mindset, and hopefully wants to whoop up on the big brother. So that'd be kind of cool to see for sure.
Yeah, I think just kind of as seeing like people from small schools getting their once in a lifetime opportunity at like a massive stadium like Neyland. It's it's one of those elite level stadiums in college football. You got Michigan State, Notre Dame, LSU, Tennessee with Neyland. Like all those stadiums are kind of like that upper echelon of if you get to play there, that's a once in a lifetime thing, So I hope it's a better outcome. I think our talent level overall is a lot better than what it was then. Even from that 2018 team. But so yeah, just I think it's a great opportunity to have you on here just to talk this season football. If there's anything you want to chime in with, just let me know. But I think we're going to. I guess we'll start with the Murray State game that we played this past weekend. So ETSU dominated Murray State.
They looked really good.
Mm-hmm. The final score was 45-17, which was about where I had it. I had it slightly lower scoring. I think I had each team scoring one less touchdown, 38-10. But ETSU dominated on the ground against a 1-11 team coming off a 1-11 season and replacing 70 players. We just kind of overmatched them with our speed. Devontae Houston. Cade McNamara started off shaky, but he got into his groove. Jacoby Criswell looked good as well. So, do you have any thoughts about that game on Saturday?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it much. I was live streaming it while I was at a wedding, so I was watching it, bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
I was really interested to see how the two quarterback system was going to work. We tried that, in 2017, 2018 with Logan Marchie and Austin Herrick. They both brought different aspects to the table. Marchie, he was coming from, I think, Temple.
Temple.
Yeah. He came in from Temple. Yeah, him and Jared Folks came in. Yes. So, and that year, I think before he came was the year they beat Notre Dame, and he was in that game. So we when he came, we was like, oh man, this is the real deal, and then he's a phenomenal guy, and then Austin Herrick's been there since day one. He was part of the first signing class. Love Austin Herrick to death, so it was kind of weird not having him out there, after he had started all the games. So it was kind of a quarterback battle. So I was really interested to see how they were both going to do that this week, and I don't know if that's what the Coach Healy's plan is for the rest of the season, to try to keep the dual quarterback system rolling. I think they both, like I said, bring different variables to the table. I think the one that started, he's better at passing, and the other one's better at running, which is valuable in each way. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out. I don't know where we got the NIL money for this. I don't know what they're putting in the powder bags down there, because that was not a thing when we were there. But NIL has took over college football. So it's kind of cool to see these big names, from Power 3, Power 4 schools coming. A quarterback from Iowa, a quarterback from North Carolina. We got a couple offensive linemen, one from Miami, I believe. And then a couple of dudes from USF or UCF, I believe. A couple of dudes from there. The running backs look phenomenal. I think that was the most rushing yards they've had in a game, season opener since 80s or 90s, I believe. So me being an offensive lineman, pounding the ball, running the ball, that's your bread and butter, So I was very impressed with them. I think the defense looks good. I think ETSU's always had a very good defensive mindset team. Defense looked pretty good. Like I said, I didn't get to watch it the full game. So the bits and pieces that I did see, I was impressed with, happy with. Really excited to see what they do this year. Excited for Coach Healy. He looks like he's got a lot of energy. Haven't got to meet him yet. I've chatted with him via email a few times. Was hoping to go out there during the spring and summer camp and meet the guys and hang out with them. But just, life gets in the way, work and having a new little girl. But hope to go out there and meet the coach and staff and maybe meet some of the players and just chat with them. It'll be kind of cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they do this year for sure, man.
I think it's good to hear, like, from a former football player's perspective, because I mean, if somebody I played Pee Wee football, that doesn't really count. Just hearing their perspective on how the team looks, And it's funny you mentioned meeting Will Healy. I ran into him in the most random place ever. I was just eating at a restaurant, and he said, I like your ETSU shirt. And I said, hey, I run a podcast. I need to get him on here. So,
Oh yeah,
because I had
yeah,
Brooks
brother. I mean,
Savage
that'd be
on.
cool. That'd be
Yeah.
cool to have him on here for sure. He seems to be a very nice dude. I think he's very good at hopefully wanting to be very interactive with the fans, local fans. I think having him on this podcast would be a cool thing for not only for yourself and your podcast, but for the local fan base. To see him and get his insight on things. I think that'd be pretty neat.
Because he's a very personable guy. So I think he's doing great things, establishing a culture. Like I heard from out his previous jobs, he was a players coach. One of those
Yeah.
guys that motivates his team, and so I'm excited for him this season. Uh, and like you said, the O line they played a pretty dominant game on Saturday. Defense looked decent. The only I'd say the one thing we need to work on is our secondary was kind of
Yeah.
all right against Murray State. I think with time that'll grow.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Yeah, it's a lot of new
overall,
dudes. A lot of
yeah,
new
a lot
dudes
of
too.
new,
I think
a lot of
there's 54 new players. I think this year. So like I said, the talent's way different than what we had back in 2018. Go back to the NIL deal. I don't know how or where we got some of these dudes from, how they pick ETSU out of some of the schools, but hey, I'm happy to have them here for sure. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what Coach Hilly does with them, and the defense has always been the ETSU strong suit. So I mean, I'm sure they'll get it rolling before conference play starts. I think this weekend against UT will be a big test for them, kind of show us where we're at, on that type of level, and kind of go from there, build off of any success we have.
and, and like I said, I think I've said before. I think the NIL ETSU has pretty firm NIL for being a mid-major school.
Yeah.
I know in basketball, a few of those guys we got those over Power Five teams, and I know for a fact we got Cade McNamara over Western Kentucky. He was going to go to Western Kentucky and then came to ETSU. I think a part of that was the offensive assistants Healy got on staff. Um, our OC, I always blank on his name. He coached under Lane Kiffin and Dabo Sweeney. And then defense, let me look up I always forget their names. DC, ETSU. I know Cam Aiken and
Okay.
At DC we have Chad Staggs. Chad Staggs was under
Okay.
Jamie Chadwell at Coastal Carolina and was
Yeah, we
also
got
at
some good
Furman.
coaches in.
I know he was at Furman too. In sort of they've been power in the SoCon for the past 10 years.
Yeah, touching back on the NIL, like you said, we're in the mid majors, we're doing pretty decent, but it's very surprising to see TSU, being able to get some of these players compared to Mercer, Furman, Wofford, Sanford, the more private schools, more up the more money type schools. So I think, ETSU, Chattanooga, and Western Carolina, and VMI's the lower rankings when it comes to deals like that. So it was very shocking to see us be able to get those coaches and the players especially. So pretty wild to see. I mean, I know NIL is kind of in a way a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. I'm torn about it. Like I said, we didn't have nothing like that when we were there by no means, but I think it's a good thing. But in a way, you got teams now that are forking out this money to these kids that they may not perform as well because either way they're getting a paycheck. So it'll be interesting to see how NIL plays out, future wise for college athletics.
I know it's kind of a double-edged sword because you got on the one hand your players are getting paid for being a representative of the university. Like they're before, I mean they've pretty much been the face of a university. So like they're doing double the work of a normal student.
Yeah.
Pretty much an extra professor for the school, or whatever position have you. But on the other hand, you have a lot of coaches out there making promises they can't keep,
Mm-hmm.
or players are getting paid and they say they just kind of give up once they get paid. I've seen that a few times, numerous times. You see players come in and then they sit out. They don't keep up their end of the bargain,
Yeah.
or they just leave at the drop of the hat. You see that with Nico at UT, just kind of trying to find the highest bidder instead of staying where they have solid footing.
Yeah, that was a
So,
pretty wild transfer over the summer for sure. You know,
mm-hmm.
him and quarterback Aguilar
Joey
basically
Aguilar.
switching
Mm-hmm.
spots. You know, and
Uh-oh.
UCLA
Did I
was
lose you?
pretty cool. But then they switched, and I mean I think he
Did I lose you? Is it me? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. Okay, we are back. Asley had some internet issues, so I'll go back and edit all the noise. We were talking about Nico and Joey Aguilar situation right before we left. So,
yeah, like I was saying, it was pretty cool or wild to see Nico go from all the way from UT to UCLA. I mean, pretty big jump. I think he took less money, and then I think they ended up getting beat pretty bad
mm-hmm.
Saturday too to Utah. So, and then Aguilar, he looked pretty good. I didn't really watch much of the game. My wife and her family was watching it, so I caught it here and there. I think that he looked pretty impressive for UT to be starting there for them. So pretty neat little thing to see, especially transferring from App State to UCLA now to UT. I think he had a pretty good showing overall. It'll be interesting to see how they do conference wise this season for sure.
I know, kind of getting into sort of the UT preview territory. Joey Aguilar, we watched him play the Bucks last year against App State. When we played App State, me and my buddy Casey, who's been on the show before, we went down there to Boone just to watch the team, and we're playing pretty good. We're giving App State a scare, but Joey Aguilar, his deep balls, like his deep ball is just impressive. Like
Mm-hmm.
the 2 touchdowns he threw, that was the difference in the game. And we saw that on Saturday when UT played Syracuse. I think they won like 45-21, 45-24, 45-26. That's what the score was. Um, but yeah, we're kind of going to get into the preview section of ETSU versus Tennessee this Saturday. The game is at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So some more tailgating time in the morning. But what a big game for ETSU on Saturday. It's UT's first home game. and I think it's going to be a test. It's just going to be a barometer for where we're at as a program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know. I think a lot of UT fans are overconfident. I know they're playing an FCS school, but they're acting like we're a bottom of the barrel FCS team that they're just going to roll over
Yeah.
70 to 3 or something. Like some UT fans think that. I do not think that. I think we still lose, but I think it's going. We're gonna get make some UT fans sweat. Just based on how our offense performed on Saturday. I think the big key is to not turn the ball over and to
Mm-hmm.
just control the clock. Um, I know just run that ball, get Devontae Houston in space, get our wide receivers in space. So, what are
Yeah, I
your
think it'll be an
thoughts on?
interesting game. It'll be an interesting game for sure. It also depends on the weather. They're giving some storms in the
Mhm,
forecast around kickoff time, so we'll see if that plays a factor. Like I said, 2018, we were moving the ball down the field to score, and then all of a sudden they called a lightning delay, and the last time that lightning in that area was 45 minutes before kickoff, and then we come out after that 40-minute break, and I think we either threw a pick six or blocked field goal, and then it just broke loose. But yeah, like you were saying, I think UT is definitely overlooking us. I do think they'll pull away with the victory. As bad as I hate to say it, I'd love to see an upset
mhm,
of Michigan and App State situation for sure. It's not been. I mean, it's been done before. There's been plenty of FCS upsets on Power One or FBS schools. Um, I think it'll come down to the trenches for sure between the linemen, offensive and defensive. I think our secondary, we definitely need to have a good showing, especially with Aguilar and the deep ball. The wide receivers in that Tennessee offense is pretty fun to watch, as bad as I hate to admit it. Um,
yeah, me.
I think it'll be pretty neat to see how we test against them. My biggest thing is that we know everybody just comes out healthy from the game. We can't really afford no big injuries anywhere on the offense or defense. So that's my big takeaway. I just hope everybody comes out healthy. I think we're going to put on a pretty decent showing with them. I don't think it'll be a
Mhm,
huge blowout. I don't think they're going to put 50 on us again. I think it'll be a little closer than what a lot of people anticipate. Uh, you know, we'll see though. You can never tell. That's one thing I love about college football. I'm hoping UT's just overlooking us, getting ready for Georgia, and we kind of go in there and shock the world. That's my hope. Um, kind of like what you said.
me
You got
too.
UT winning for sure. I mean, I'd love an upset for sure, but I think it'll be a little closer, a little more respectable game. Get some respect from the Vol Nation or Vol Navy, whatever you want to call them. They got a different nickname every year it seems. Um, but it'll be cool for the team to go down there and experience Neyland, to get to see the stadium in that aspect. I think we got that kid from Kingsport that played at UT for the last 3 years, the tight end. He's with us now. Um, so let's see how he does. I think it's a pretty cool story of him, coming from Kingsport, going to UT, and then transferring to ETSU to get to play them again on the other side of the ball. So pretty big showing this weekend. It'll really let us know where we are compared to that type of level of play for sure.
The tight end you're talking about, Charlie Browder. It's
Yeah,
funny you
Browder.
mentioned him. Uh, the YouTuber G Fed, he was at ETSU today. Took a picture with Charlie Browder, so he might be on on the YouTube video. Uh,
Okay, that'd be
G
sick.
Fed, 100 stadiums in 100 days. Um, but yeah, I think if the weather is not the greatest, I think that kind of plays into ETSU's hand,
Hmm.
especially with us running the ball, because UT's offense is more pass happy. And the difference in the game is probably going to be Joey Aguilar once again, because
Yeah.
when you have a QB that talented, I love Cade, I love Jacoby Criswell, but they don't have that arm talent that Aguilar has and downfield passing ability. They're more just pure athletes, kind of. Cade's more of the game manager, and Criswell's more of the big athlete, can make big plays with his legs and arm, but isn't as consistent as an Aguilar. I think if we get it, if we could at least make it like a grudge match, I think there is a chance. You saw a couple years back, Austin P nearly near was in the game late with UT.
Mm-hmm.
I remember UT fans were kind of like, "What is this?" And uh, I think Joe Milton kind of had a stinker of a game um, that day, but just kind of like I think in college football, if you have the players in the right positions, I think you can beat anybody, even catch a team on a bad day. Because it's one game, it's not a series, it's not like NBA or Major League Baseball. You have a chance. If you just got to play smart football, execute where there's execute in the gaps, where
Yeah.
the opportunities they give us.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's football. It's 11 on 11, one on one, So it'd be kind of
Mm-hmm.
cool to see how these matchups go. Like I said, depending on the weather, I think it's going to be won or lost between the trenches on the offense and defensive side. And hopefully the secondary steps up and, is able to cover the receivers and defend the deep ball that Aguilar will probably take a few shots
Mm-hmm.
on. I think if we get a couple of those, stay away from turnovers. We have a fighting chance. Never say
Mm-hmm.
never. But it'll be pretty awesome to see an upset. But
I know one of my friends that's a diehard UT fan, like he's a UT homer, like he's one of those guys that thinks they're going to win an insane amount of games every year. He's like, yeah, I think ETSU could give us a game because they're kind of banged up in their secondary and on defense. I, I don't know about offense, but um, I think I think it's going to be. I think ETSU gets several scores. People are not expecting ETSU to score. I think the strength in this game for ETSU is their offense. Their
mm-hmm.
defense is decent, but I think we'll kind of struggle down the stretch just against some of Tennessee's playmakers.
Yeah,
Um, I know I'm kind of going to get into a score prediction here, but I think I think it's going to be close to the half, and then Tennessee gets a couple scores in the third quarter, kind of gets it out, and then ETSU scores again late, and then it's kind of I'd say like a 45-21, 45-24 type game
yeah.
would be my prediction.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Either 35-21 or 42-21 type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of same situation. I think it'll be close till halftime. UT will kind of pull away, but I still think we'll give them a fight more than they're expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. I really do. Um, so I guess that's all the UT talk. It's kind of hard to preview a game
Mm-hmm.
when you're this early in the season, other than what you've based on the first game and what both teams have done in the first two sit-ins, or first two games. I mean, um, just kind of um, looking around the SoCon this week. Uh, the SoCon didn't have a great week at all.
No, they
It
didn't
was
look too
bad.
good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ETSU looked the best out of everybody. And I'm
Mhm.
not just saying that because I'm a Buccaneer, but I think overall, Mercer got upset. Western Carolina didn't look too good.
They
I don't know.
blew that game against.
I don't know if Chattanooga played anybody. I didn't see them. Didn't see anything
They
on them.
they got blown out by Memphis.
Okay. Furman, I think they looked pretty
They got
decent.
the win. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so it'll be interesting to see, SoCon play this year, how it plays out. I was telling somebody the other day at the gym. I've got ETSU, definitely winning the SoCon, if not winning it, second place, runner up for sure. Hopefully make another playoff appearance this year and run deep in it like we did a couple years ago when we went to North Dakota State. Um, I think conference play will do very well this year for sure. As long as we can keep
Yeah.
everybody healthy, and locked in. I expect big things for them this year for sure. A SoCon championship will be cool again, and then another playoff run.
I really hope we beat Chattanooga this year. Whatever happens in
Yeah,
SoCon play, we we need to get one. They've had our number for
Yeah.
too far too long.
Yeah, we got
Rather,
to beat Chattanooga. We got to beat Western Carolina. Those are the two big ones. As a former player, those are the two
yeah.
that you want to win. Um, I think Mercer's always a tough test. Furman's a tough test. But Chattanooga and Western Carolina, we got to make sure we win those two, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just looking at the conference, like I think we could easily win the conference if Mercer is blowing losing to Presbyterian, and I mean Sanford got blown out, destroyed by West Georgia, which is going to be a
Yeah.
tough. That might be our toughest non-Tennessee non-conference game. And yeah, Western Carolina blowing it to Gardner Webb. That was wild. Although Western Carolina, they may be getting their QB back.
Yeah, I saw something
Very
that
soon.
they had a couple players
Billy
out, and I think the
Dickens.
quarterback was one
Mm-hmm.
of them. So yeah, it'll be neat to see how the SoCon goes this year for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, so yeah, I think that's all the SoCon talk we can really get into. Was there any other games in the SoCon? Well, I mean, ETSU and Furman came out looking like the two winners. Furman beating William and Mary, which has been pretty a ranked team the last few years. I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think VMI they got beat pretty soundly by Navy,
Oh
if I
yeah,
remember
Navy,
correctly. VMI's always one of
Citadel.
those random schools. They're off one year, good one year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, didn't see who Citadel played. I don't think they won though, did they?
No, they got destroyed. They played North Dakota State in
Okay.
Charleston.
Yeah.
Actually, know somebody that was at that game. A guy I met, just doing my thing, at a race or something. He runs a podcast for Coastal, but he was at that game covering that game. So we,
Yeah, it's pretty
I'd say
cool.
we did a
Last
better
year.
performance against
Yeah, that was a game we
NDSU
should have had last
last
year for
year.
sure. Yeah, that was a game that we should have had. I think we got a little overzealous and kind of let off the brakes a little too early. We was in the fan section, and all my buddies had their shirts off, giving the North Dakota State fans a little bit of hell. And I was just like, that's too early. I mean, there's still 6 minutes left, and sure enough, we wasn't the lucky ones. Back in 2018, we had a lot of comeback wins, lucky wins, as some people would call them. But I think we let off the brake a little too early on them last year. But it'd have been very, very cool to see us beat the number one team last year. But North Dakota State,
Yeah.
I was telling everybody, I was like, that's basically like having Alabama or Clemson type of team come to Johnson City. So it was cool to have them come down to Tri-Cities. Fans are very friendly, nice people. I got to meet a few people from North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
Super humble people. I think we had them on their heels for sure. Wish we would have pulled that one out. That'd have been a big win for the Bucks. Overall morale would have been phenomenal off of that game.
We were like 2 inches from it, just the game being over with.
Yeah,
On that onside kick.
yeah, that
That
onside
was the
kick,
big
man.
one.
Yeah, we usually we're on the good
If
side of
you,
those in previous history, but that one
Mhm.
just didn't go swing our way, man.
Boom. I mean, it wasn't a bad loss by any means, since NDSU went on to win their like 15, like an insane amount, or it's something crazy. They've won like
Yeah,
10 national
yeah, that
titles in the past 15 years.
yeah, they're kind of like the Alabama of the FCS is how what I
Yeah.
compare them to.
Mm-hmm.
They're just dominant, good every year. Phenomenal football team for sure. I was really impressed
Mm-hmm.
with how they looked last year. Even though we had them on the ropes, but can't let up too easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And well, um, is there? I kind of we've kind of covered everything I wanted to do on this episode, but is there any other like stories you want to share from your like your time at ETSU, like just memories that you think would be good to tell?
Yeah, I mean, I got a few. I mean, I try to keep them
Mhm.
clean, but
Yeah,
it was it
obviously.
was different. Kind of going from Coach Storbush, RIP. He
Mhm.
was a phenomenal coach, phenomenal person. He was a good, godly man, type of coach. To having Randy Sanders, come in, and it was funny because I actually went up to Randy Sanders like his second or third day there, and I was like, "Hey, man, financially I'm struggling. Um, I, basically was going to quit the team." And he's like, "Well, what's going on?" And I explained my situation. We lost our house in a flood in 2017. So I was literally living off campus that summer. I was working as a bouncer downtown, working as an RA,
Mhm.
and then I was working at the pool at the CPA. So then, going to the workouts all summer, didn't miss any workouts. And Coach Sanders, he's like, if you stay and you keep up your work, he's like, I'll see if I can, help you out in some way. Um, so it's right after fall camp starts, finishes up. He calls me, to his office type of deal, and I was like, I'm getting cut today. I was like, there it goes.
Mhm.
Because there was a few players that got let go or was told to transfer. So Coach Sanders calls me into his office, and he's like, "What have you been doing this summer?" And I told him, I was working as a bouncer, I was working as a lifeguard, working as an RA. And he's like, "That's a lot of stuff on you," And I kind of told him my situation, back home. I was living on campus, didn't have a house at the time, and he kind of like put his head down. He's like, "Well, what if I put you on a full ride scholarship?" So it was, those stories that
Mhm.
you see on ESPN, Twitter, and stuff like that, where the guys get the full ride. Man, that was phenomenal. And Coach Sanders, he's got a special place in my heart, for the rest of my life, for doing that, because I was a signed walk on 2018 or
Mhm.
2014. Me and Austin Anderson from UNACA were the last two like official signings for ETSU's class of 2014 team. Um, so I was a partial scholarship until 2015, and my dad passed away. And once he passed away, I kind of just let go of everything. I lost like 40 pounds. I went from being like 280 to
Mhm.
248. Lost a lot of weight. Coach Storbush, brought me to the side and was like, "You're not coordinated enough to be a tight end. You're not fast enough, big enough to be a defensive lineman." And he said, "If you keep losing weight, you're not going to be big enough to be an offensive lineman." So he said, "We might have to let you go unless you get in the weight room, get your grades back up." So that kind of gave me motivation because playing college football was like one thing that my dad was super proud of me about. Um, so just to stick with it was cool. How it played out, and Coach Sanders, putting me on a full ride my senior year. I mean, you can ask anybody. I mean, I'm not nobody special by no means. I was a backup scout team guy all 4 years, which I'm perfectly fine with. That
Mhm.
was my role, and that's what I knew I was going to be doing. I was wanted to be the best scout team guy that I could be for the other players that needed a good look for the weeks to come. Um, but that's one of my favorite stories about being at ETSU is Coach Sanders putting me on a full ride. He didn't do it in front of everybody. He was a very low key kind of guy. He didn't want all the attention, on him or me, and I respect that so much because I'm not one of those type of dudes. But it was just funny, man. I broke down in tears because I walked over to his office and I was like, "I'm getting cut today, I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
miss my season. I've played 4.5 years. I'm gonna miss the final season, and then getting put on the full ride, being able to travel with the boys, dressing out and going out on the field with them, going traveling, getting to go dress out and be on the field at UT. I mean, I didn't get no reps in, which is fine with me, but it was still cool to be a part of that type of atmosphere and be a part of that year.
That's what college football. That's what football is all about. Just putting in effort. Putting
Yeah,
in blood, sweat, and tears. To, even if you don't get to play, like it's about the dream.
yeah. Yeah, that was my dream. I'm glad I got to live it out, But literally watching it go from the ground up every day, we was out there on the intramural fields, watching them build the stadium. Every day we was out there practicing, and that was Coach Storbush just saying, he's like, "You guys are gonna be the one that open this up, like this will be your new home. Not playing at Science Hill no more." I mean, our
Mm-hmm.
first 3 months of working out, we had to go up and get the bars and dumbbells and weights and carry them down to the turf and weight lift on the turf, because we didn't have a weight gym or a weight room. And then when we couldn't go on the field, we'd have to go to the CPA and try to clear it out to be able to get a couple of workouts in that first year. I mean, it was just crazy to see the change and how far it's came along. But that's what builds character. That's what builds stories. Super blessed to be a part of it. I loved my time at ETSU. I would do it all over again for sure. Blessed to be a Buccaneer, man.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm blessed to be Buccaneer too. I love ETSU, and you do too. I mean, we've both been kind of invested in the program,
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of I think what you've done for ETSU football is invaluable, to be honest. Just being
that, man.
a walk-on, staying all 4 years, staying through, just kind of building that program, and I think that's a great story. I love seeing stories like that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you tear up almost when you see a player get. It kind of makes me think like at Purdue. I don't know if you remember Tyler Trent, his brother, the kid that passed away from cancer. His brother walked on to Purdue and got a scholarship this past spring. It's that's your story. Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, that was a very touching story. I remember seeing that last year before last at Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are my favorite type of stories. When the walk-ons or the small dudes or the unknown guys end up getting a scholarship. Man, I mean, especially for the situation I was in, financially struggling. Family was struggling after losing my dad. But I'm glad I stuck with it. Coach Sanders was a man of his word, and that's something I'll always respect about him. Probably one of the best coaches I've been under. Phenomenal dude. He's a hilarious type of guy. Once you got to know him, once he's on his good, you don't want to get on his bad side, but if you're on his good side, he's invited me fishing a few times, but just hasn't been able to make that happen. But yeah, man, I loved my time at ETSU, and it was well worth the grind and the 4.5 years of sticking it out. I'm glad my teammates didn't let me leave, because they're like, man, we need you. Things like you bring the morale up around here. I mean, like I said, I wasn't a 5-star athlete or nothing out of high school. I didn't play no games at ETSU, but I mean, my body definitely appreciates that. But I mean, I was a backup to some pretty good dudes. Ben Blackman at guard and Tremont Shorts and Matthew Pike. That's my best friend. Miles Smith, Mason McNutt, Cam Parker. Those boys. It's not like I was behind some average Joes. I mean, Matthew Pike was an FCS All-American. Ben Blackman, multi-time SoCon offensive lineman. So. But I respect those boys, and that was their spot to play, and I supported them 100%. And I was never jealous of them or mad at them or nothing. They earned their spot. And they did it very well.
Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Your video is kind of cutting up, but I heard what you were saying.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that covers kind of what the full scale of this episode. Just kind of seeing the perspective. That's why I started this podcast, to hear stories like that. I want to hear everybody's perspectives from me too. It's so crazy hearing different stories. You're not the first. Like about a year and a half ago, I had a guy that he's kind of active on Twitter. He was a ETSU basketball player back in the 90s. He kind of has a story similar to yours, just kind of being there, being a program guy that practiced, didn't play much. Chris Timmerman, I believe his name is. But yeah, I love hearing all the different stories. Just hearing how people come to ETSU. Everybody has a different story. They like going to school. I went when I was in school. I was in a class with a lot of athletes, and all of them had different stories, different backgrounds, and that's kind of what makes ETSU community special, especially among mid majors, because the fans care.
Yeah.
It's not like somewhere where there's just 5 people in the audience. We
Yeah.
William
I think
B.
we got the
Green
best
Jr.
fans in the
Stadium.
SoCon. I think we've had almost every game's been a sellout since we've started the program back, especially at William B. So it's been very cool to see. I mean, I'd wish the fans would stick a little longer after halftime, but I mean, I know people's got things to do, but that was always gut wrenching as a player. After halftime, everybody'd be packing up and leaving, win or lose. And then we'd come back and win, and there'd only be 1/3 of the crowd there, but still being able to say we've sold it out a handful of times is very cool to see, especially after since playing at high Science Hill field and stuff like that. I'm super proud of the Bucks, how far we've came in the past 10 years. I'm excited to see where the next 10 years takes us and past that. I appreciate you having me on here, brother. It's been a good time. Go Bucks.
Yep, it's been a good go Bucks. Um, I was just gonna say, like, kind of on that comment, it's funny, I think a lot of that is people leaving is just kind of people with families, and then the other half is college kids not really interested in football or going off doing something else. But I think they're Buck fans. They just aren't as diehard as some of the others like me or you. Just kind of. But it's been a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Yeah, man.
I think I'm
appreciate
going to
you
wrap
having
up
me on.
that. Yep, I'm going to wrap up the episode here. Go donate for Bucks for Good. Help support athletes. Help support athletes like Asley. They're in school now. Kind of help pay for the product you get on the field through NIL. But I think that's all we have for tonight. For you tonight. But just wanted to say thank you for coming on, Asley. And Godspeed and go Bucks.